عيدان Ronen, great to be with you. You're on the front lines of Hasbara, the defense of what Israel is doing, many times on Arabic media. Tell us what you're doing.
Well, as I'm sure you're all aware of, Israel is under constant attack, not only militarily, not only diplomatically, but also in the PR arena. And that is where, you know, the major media outlets, they used to describe Israel as the villain, as the bad guy. So I'm trying to give it my push and to push back. And I'm trying to basically show not only Israel's case, but also to fight back, because I strongly believe that those media outlets, they're not coincidentally vilify us. They do it on purpose, because they are so biased and politicized. And so basically my motto or tagline is to delegitimize the delegitimizers. Now, I used to speak both English and Arabic to the international English-speaking media and also to the Arab world. I started my way in May 2019. That was my debut show in English. And I was showing in several media outlets, in the English-speaking ones, but I also felt that it's not enough. So I quickly logged into YouTube. I started to acquire some Arabic vocabulary. Yeah. And actually, I'm an Arabic speaker.
So you go on Arabic media. It's a tough neighborhood, though. What's it like?
Oof. Have you ever been scuba diving? So
Once.
I will tell you this. If any one of our dear viewers who ever happened to scuba dive, I'm sure he will get the impression, wow, what a world, the pod beneath our world. It's all heaven and paradise. So that's the Middle East, but not paradise, hell. It's all fire and blood, and they're hacking each other to pieces, and they're all very tough, and they're aggressive, and they curse you. But
you have to be just as assertive, is that right?
Absolutely. You really have to be as tough as they are, and I would rather say even tougher. And that pretty much goes all the way back to the tribal culture. You know, since time immemorial, when people started to dwell here in this desert, in this very harsh and inhospitable part of this world, people had to be violent in order to maintain their resources, their water supplies, their cattle, their camels, whatever. And the best way how to do that is to gang up. And that's how you formed up the whole tribal concept. And with time, it just got transfixed into the mentality of the residents here. Yeah. So they made them to be extremely violent. Yeah. And so if you want to survive here in this area, you really have to be tough as they are. Yes, as tough as they are, if not even more. Yeah. And just as I was starting to explain to you, not only militarily, but also the way you present yourself, and also in the PR world.
Yeah, yeah. What would be your message to Americans and people in the West? What do they need to know most of all?
Dear Americans, I think the basic rule you should understand: you have to rid yourself of the good old concepts of two-state solution. Two spoiled kids quarrel over a certain piece of land, then logic may dictate, how could it be any easier? You go there and shut up, and you go there and shut up, and we can both have peace. It doesn't work like that. It is the Middle East here. It is Arab mentality. It is a different civilization. They view the world differently. Their set of values is entirely different. And you know, in Rome, behave Roman. In the Middle East, behave Middle Eastern. You have to see the world through the Arabs' view, through their perspective, and so to accordingly adjust it, and to adjust the language you should speak to them, and the whole way of conducting your life toward them, and the way you're running the war toward them. You have to understand what they want. They are not in the business of sharing the land. They believe it is a Waqf land, pretty much saying an Islamic land. You have to understand this is a religious war. They will never give us any peace, not even on a squared yard or square centimeter. You must basically tell them straightforward, this is our land. We have the ultimate evidence for that. not necessarily religious evidence, also archaeologically, also by international law. They always brag, you Jews always, you Israelis always violate international law, where foolishly and ignorantly they don't even know that international law in fact is working for the Jews' case. Once, because the West Bank or Judea and Samaria are not occupied, the official terminology is disputed territories. And another reason, ever since the San Remo conference in 1920, that's where they officially legitimized by law the Balfour Declaration 3 years earlier, and pretty much saying that all the territory since from the Mediterranean Sea to modern day Jordan-Iraq border, if in fact belongs to the Jews by law. So we have to basically, as I was saying earlier, we have to be tough. We have to tell them straightforward, it is our land, like it or not, and we're not going to bargain with that. And if we bargain over our own land, then unfortunately that would only further invite more demands for more concessions.
How would you describe the current situation between Hezbollah, Iran, and Israel?
The Middle East right now has turned into a world's chessboard. And the chess, just like in a chess, it's kind of difficult to predict what's going to be the move of your enemy or adversary. Everybody is on the high readiness of alert, but we do have indications. I mean, I don't have any crystal ball, and I don't want to guarantee anything, and it's going to be very foolish of me to guarantee in this extremely volatile Middle East where developments can, just flip in an instant. However, the indications that we have that we may head to a little bit of de-escalation is according to Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah's statement the day before. He is probably the world's biggest braggart. And if he claims, we are avenging the Israelis, the Zionists, by merely putting them on a state of standby, and that's part of the punishment, because that's the way they are on, panic mode. If that's the best he can sell out, then I doubt it. He really wants to get into an all-out war. We also are aware that if indeed a strike from his party, or either from Iran or fight by Lebanon, that will trigger an extremely enormous and unprecedented strike by Israel, which might potentially lead into a regional all-out war, and that in turn might potentially lead into a global, I don't want to say, to use harsh terminology, as World War III, but I can also never rule it out. Everybody's nervous. I would also find that a little bit of critique to Israeli government, to be fair. I honestly don't like it that we're just waiting and waiting. We have to be the ones who take the initiative to our own hands. We have to be the first, either to launch the all-out war. Yeah, we are aware we may expect casualties in our side, or at least some sort of a preemptive strike. Basically to alter our mode from defense, which translates into reaction upon reaction upon reaction, to offense, and that is just to push forward and to start showing signs of overwhelming, maybe even using this time to once and for good to get rid of, or at least to the best of our ability, to Iran's nuclear reactors, even if not absolutely. That will show a message of strength, and that pretty much relates to what I was saying, what I was referring earlier. Here in the neighborhood, you have to be the strong guy, the tough guy, the one that everybody around gets the conclusion they don't want to mess around with you. We have to also keep in mind, the Iranians are concerned with only one thing, their quest for nuke. They're not matured into that point just yet. They would rather keep Hezbollah intact by the maximum military capability of that terror organization before any potential attack on its soil, and probably even further assassinations on their ground. As we have seen Mossad capabilities, Iran is extremely beyond penetrable. And it may correspond with Iran's, Iran willing also in its part to play the chess game wisely. We would rather be patient. We would keep with the Iranians our silent quest for nuke without arousing too much attention. And I'm sure that is, you see, the Iranian regime is a revolutionary regime, and revolutionaries, they never stop exporting the revolution. So why would they quit now? The quest or the race for nuke is the #1 priority. All the other priorities are there, but on second degree and third degree and so forth. And so if they would tone down their provocative behavior, I will not be necessarily surprised.
Because they want to protect their nuclear sites?
Precisely. And they also got messages that Israel is serious this time, and it may strike the Iranian nuclear facilities. And that, I think, put them on a state of stress in a way. Yeah. I strongly believe that.
Yeah. Idan, anything you'd like to add?
Guys, just don't watch CNN, don't read the New York Times. I would rather, oh, and one more thing. I am so sorry that there are so many American Jews that are, I mean, I don't think that they should work for Israel or should serve Israel, but it saddens me that there are so many American Jews who would rather ally themselves with those who backstab Israel, and I'm so sorry for those. I don't have necessarily an explanation for that. I can think of one. 2,000 years in the diaspora, the mindset has been adopted accordingly. Let's appease the tyrant, so we the Jews will not be affected. That's the best I can think of. But you have to understand, guys, Christiane Amanpour of CNN and Thomas Friedman of the New York Times, never ever read them, watch them, and tune into them. They are a catastrophe, and refrain of consuming mainstream media.
Yeah. עידן רונן, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll find you on YouTube. And where else can people find you? Instagram, Facebook, but I would admit I'm not one of the best hotshots. I don't have millions of subscribers. I'm just starting my way there. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks.